as the Super Bowl is on February 2nd, we've got time between now and when it takes place. I want to talk about something today that I'm excited about. So, there's a 10 city tour for Rammstein coming through. Now, I haven't seen Rammstein since, 2011 and 2012. So, I saw them in Edmonton, I saw them in Vancouver. Now, the Edmonton show was at Rexall. Vancouver show was a year later, and that was it. I think it was still called GM Place at the time, but I'll just put Rogers. Now, Rexall, it was a tough show. Rexall, not a tough show in terms of the actual product. The show was absolutely amazing, but the crowd, there were some people who had no idea what they were in for. There were people sitting behind us that had no idea who Rammstein was or much of anything other than they got cheap tickets, and I was like, oh, seriously. And there was a guy down front trying to get the Rammstein chant going, which is you say Rammstein loud and you smack a board through. Well, in his case, he's smacking the boards for the hockey rink 3 times, and then say Rammstein again. And I tried. I tried to help him, and it got to the point where he looks at me, he goes like this, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. This crowd doesn't get it. So we couldn't get the Rammstein chant going, which made me sad, and I'm sure it made him sad too, because he was trying, and nobody was into it. Now, the shows that we saw had opening acts. Now, in Edmonton, the opening act was Combi Christ, who were absolutely amazing. They hit it out of the park. The crowd could not care less. There was so much of no reaction to what they were doing. I was floored because I really like Combi Christ, and I came out of that concert liking them a lot more. And the second time around in Vancouver, they had Joe Letts, the drummer from Combi Christ, opening up for them as a DJ. Because the only thing that can open up for Rammstein to make the crowd happy is remixes of Rammstein, apparently. I haven't heard anything about an opening act. With this giant, massive show that they're bringing over, I could see it just being Rammstein. It's really kind of their stage. So, what separates Rammstein from others? Now, I've seen other concerts since then. I have. The sheer volume of fire, it's substantial. There's a lot of fire. And I remember when we went to Vancouver that my daughter, she had got a Rammstein hoodie and she was wearing a hoodie. And we were pretty close to the stage and I said, hoodie, are you sure? She says, well, I it's not going to be that bad. We're not that close. And I was like, we're pretty close. So the first song started, which was Shauna. And once it hit the chorus and that first fireball came out, next time I looked over, she was wearing a t-shirt because it was a little bit warm for a hoodie. So there's something with their show, and when you ask them, they'll tell you that they do this because they understand that there are a lot of people in the crowd that don't speak German, and they needed something that was a hook that was different, something that would bring people in, something that would get people talking about them, and therefore, fire. Okay, I don't know a way to shorten this down. Uh, so I'm going to talk about Tool here. Tool, if you get a Tool album and you're listening to Tool, it's kind of a shame if you listen to a couple of songs and not the whole album. I felt that way forever. So I can understand why they weren't on the services like Spotify and iTunes and all that. And, allowing themselves to be on there has definitely made them more popular and all of this. But I understand why they fought it. I do. Rammstein does not have that. You don't, if you get a Rammstein album, you don't have this experience of, I need to listen to the whole thing. But every song is unique. And when you see their concerts live, every song has its own completely different lighting setup. The closest I can think that I saw to this live was Slipknot. Slipknot had that going for them as well. They had some absolutely fantastic visuals in their show as well. And I am on the fence as to whether Rammstein or Slipknot was the best experience I've had. But musically, I would put Rammstein ahead of Slipknot. There are some Slipknot songs I'm not too partial to that are in a set list on any given night. Doesn't mean I'm any less of a Slipknot fan. There's just certain songs I'm like, eh. But for Rammstein, if it's in a set list, I love it. And there are some songs I'm really looking forward to, and every song really has its own lighting and its own pyros and its own everything is different. So when I'm at concerts, and in general most concerts, you're not going to have a ton of pyros usually. And for most concerts, it's just they go out there, they sing their music, and they leave. And I kind of feel I kind of compare everything to this now. You get spoiled. Um, the other thing too that I think makes a Rammstein a different experience um, is what you get with the crowd. Now this is tricky in North America. Admittedly, this is tricky in North America, and this is why my ultimate dream is to see a Rammstein concert in Berlin, in Germany, in Europe, France, because the crowd experience, for instance, in Edmonton, very few people singing along. So when you got to the parts of songs where usually, if you've watched Rammstein DVDs where they do the concerts, there's parts where Till will turn the microphone around and let the crowd sing. He didn't really do that in Edmonton. And he didn't really do that in Edmonton because the crowd really wasn't singing along. There were some in the front row that would have been. There were some in and around that were. Certainly I was. But Vancouver, there was a really decent amount of that crowd that was singing along. The problem with Vancouver was the whole upper bowl was empty. They didn't sell enough tickets, so everybody in the upper bowl got bumped down into the lower bowl. And as soon as I saw that, I remember saying out loud, they will never come back. They will never come back to Vancouver. I'm actually kind of surprised that they're coming to North America. But the crowd experience that I had in Vancouver, and to some extent in Edmonton as well, is different. There are some really hardcore fans of this band. And there's a bond you can have with hardcore fans of this band that's different. My favorite moment before we got into the show in Edmonton was that they're practicing, so we can hear the band practicing. Downtown Edmonton, there wasn't much to do that day other than let's go see what Rammstein's doing. So we walked to the arena and see what was going on. We wanted to be able to hear the sound check. We wanted to hear everything and see everything. So while we were there, and you can hear the band kind of practicing or whatever, a van pulls up. Paul, one of the guitarists, he gets out and sort of saunters into the building, and I'm like, where was Paul? Okay, there's a story here. What's the deal with Paul? Another thing, and I'm not going to put this on the board because it's just something that's unique to me. When I have bands that I like, it's very rare that I know all of the band members. So you're looking at Queen, you're looking at Def Leppard, you're looking at Rammstein, where I can name them all off. Slipknot, nope. Some I can, some I can't. I don't really. Obviously Corey Taylor, right? And others, but I don't have it to memory about everybody in the band. Metallica, mainly yes. Metallica you can add as a mainly yes. Mainly, and then and then you've got. See what other band would be in there. Obviously the Beatles, but that doesn't really count. Everybody knows John, Paul, George, and Ringo. Don't tell Yvonne I said that. I always pretend I'm mixing them up with the Rolling Stones. And I ask her, how long was Mick Jagger their singer anyways? She's like, he did the Rolling Stones. No. When he was in the Beatles, I'm not talking about his time with the Stones. That was before he formed the Doors, right? And just... So, I find that every member of the band is unique. So when you're watching it, this isn't just a concert, it's a show. And whether it's Till picking a fight with Flake that happens in every concert, whether it's Flake going out over the crowd in the boat, whatever it is, it's a show. And you get this feeling like it's almost operatic in parts, and it's almost it's this really big theatrical experience. It would appear that in this... Now, I haven't watched concerts all the way through. I will between now and September when we go, because that's what I do. But it would appear that Puppa is the one from the new album that they've made this big experience, where he's got the baby carriage, and there's a fire in the baby carriage, and the baby carriage is huge to make him look like a little kid. And if you've read the lyrics to Puppa in English, it's fantastic. And that's something I would highly recommend to people that like the band. I know I've known people that do and people that don't, but I would highly recommend knowing what they're singing about. So rather than just, I just like the music. Every song is, sometimes their songs have disturbing content, sometimes they don't. I know I was going to do a video on 10 disturbing Rammstein songs lyrically. I will do that in between now and the concert. Now that I know I'm going to see Rammstein in Los Angeles on September 19th, and it's ingrained up here, it's not going anywhere. That's going to knock out some information like people's birthdays, and if I'm glad I'm not diabetic because it would probably knock out my insulin times, and I'm going to the hospital. So the overall show, the experience of the show, the theatrics to it, and it comes back to how every song is uniquely presented, and then there are some songs that are theatrical and interactive, and you have raining black confetti now during Papa, which replaces, in America there was red, silver, and blue, silver to mean white, confetti. And that was great when that confetti fell, and it actually fell in my area in Vancouver. It didn't in Edmonton; we were too far back. But it was fantastic to have that, and to know that was coming. One area where I know some people don't do this and some do. I like to know exactly what the set list is going to be, knowing exactly what songs are coming up and when, because of the fact that I view it like a play. I view it like going to a dramatic performance you'd see in high school, or you'd see on on the Strip in Vegas. It is entirely a show, and I'm surprised they're not going to Vegas. When they announced their concert tour, I thought, well, they got to hit Vegas. They don't hit Vegas. Why aren't they hitting Vegas? They have to go to Vegas. I don't understand why they're not going to Las Vegas. It doesn't make any sense to me. Los Angeles, yes. Why aren't you going to Las Vegas? You've gone there before. You can get absolutely. You can pack any house. They've got the new stadium going up. Hopefully, I'm really hoping, and it would appear that from when I was trying to get tickets, that they were selling like crazy. I was having problems with my credit card, so I kept trying to go through, and every time I was in the process, it would say, "Oh, these tickets are gone. Sorry, these tickets are gone. Sorry, these tickets are gone." Sorry. I was like, "Oh no, I'm not going to get it." I was almost in tears, and then I fixed the credit card problem, and I got tickets. And Yvonne was like, "Well, maybe wait till the general audience, and maybe, when they're sold to the general public, you can get something else." And I said, "No, I've got to get on the pre-sale, because the general audience, it's going to be even worse. So it's going to turn into something way worse if I actually wait until general public, because they're going to sell out right away, and then we'll have to get resale tickets, and it's going to be ridiculous. They're not cheap. These stadium tickets right now, they are not cheap. I didn't cheap out either. I thought, well, it's basically it's the Rams stadiums where they're having it. And I thought, if we're in the upper deck, our view is going to be fine, but I want to be in the lower deck. I want to be able to see the band and be able to make out their faces. So that to me was important. And it's going to be different because I've seen the indoor shows. Now I'm going to see the outdoor show, which is a completely different experience. And I'm very excited for that in Los Angeles. Now we're already talking about, how long will we go down there? Well, it's on a Saturday, so we could fly out on a Friday and come back on the Sunday and make it that quick little trip. And then I can do meetups with people from, the main channel, or I guess from this channel as well. I don't have any problem doing meetups with people from this channel as well. Certainly at 11,000, we're almost at the level where I could think about it. Although there's a lot of overlap between this channel and the main channel. Let's be honest. The reasoning for this is, and for this whole video is that if there's anybody out there going, well, I'm kind of on the fence, I haven't seen them, I don't know. If you have a chance to see this band, you have to take it, because they may not come back. It has been almost a decade since they toured North America, and I get the feeling that this album, their 7th album, is the last one. The set list of their most recent stadium tour in Europe, 8 out of 11 songs on this album were in that set list. That tells me they are definitely pushing the new album, and they are quite possibly doing a farewell. And it felt like a farewell when they were in Vancouver. And at the end of that show, I had tears in my eyes, and I thought, I'm never going to see these guys again. Because when we saw them in Edmonton, they did a thank you very much. This is great. Thanks for coming out. And in Vancouver, they just said, we love Canada. And I thought, oh, you guys are leaving. You're not coming back. And other than Quebec, they will do festivals in Quebec, and they're doing a tour. On this tour, they're doing a stop in Montreal. Other than that, the rest of Canada is not even Toronto. They're not even going to Toronto. So I get the feeling that this show in LA, it might be my last chance to see them. That might be it. So I'm approaching it that way. And for people who might be on the fence, I can't recommend it enough. It was a transformative experience. I try to think of concerts where I've been in tears while I watch it. And yeah, when they started playing Mind Tile, I had tears in my eyes. It just, I was like, oh, I'm listening. I am right here. I can make eye contact with Till and Richard, and they're playing Mind Tile. This is one of the greatest moments of my life. Because Mind Tile is my favorite song. And the funny story about that, too, is that Mind Tile, when I would tell people it's my favorite song, they would try to warn me, like, do you know what that song's about? Do you understand? And it's a disturbing tale, and it's a true story. And I was like, no. Because I'm like, sure, I'll just play stupid. No, what's it about? And so people tell me, and they go, well, it's about, it's about this guy, and he did this and this. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, no, that actually kind of makes me feel like I connect with the song more, because it says something. It says something to me. It speaks to me now. So thank you very much. Treat me like I'm dumb. Again, it's important to know what they're singing. It's important to know it. For me, going to concerts is important that I know the words and I can sing along in German. It feels awesome. So when he's singing Ishville, and he says "Ora Handa Sane," you put your hands up. And when we were in Vancouver, I had my hands up before he said "put up your hands," because he'll say that in English because everybody just stands there. "Ora Handa Sane," put your hands up. And I was like, I already got my hands up. Woohoo! So, that was kind of a fun moment. I was kind of proud of myself in that one. And Ishville's a really, really fun song live. Really is. I do wish Kind of Lust was in the set list this time around. That set list may change when they play North America. I am wondering if when they play North America, if it's going to be that heavily influenced by the new album, or if they're going to stick some greatest hits in there. One that was not on the tour they just did of Europe was America. I'm thinking they have to stick America back in there. That may take out one of the songs off the new album. And I'd be kind of surprised if Kind of Lust doesn't end up back in there. I'd like to see Is True to Vey get in there, but I'm not thinking Is True to Vey is going to get in there. I sadly. But still, there's some really good stuff, and I'm excited because I get to take my wife, and she's never seen them live before. So that's going to be a highlight. That's absolutely going to be a highlight, and I'm really, really happy about that. It is one of those things that I think, doing something right when you're able to go to a Rammstein concert feels pretty good. Yeah, so there you go. If you've been to a Rammstein concert, let me know in the comment section below how you feel about that, or if you haven't, if you get a chance to go, again, like I said, I'd recommend it. Again, I know it's not cheap, and I know those tickets are going to sell like that. To give an example, in between when I bought the tickets and then when I looked again 2 hours later, 3 sections had already sold out since I bought those tickets. And it was almost all grayed out as sold. Now, that's not including, of course, the ones that are going to go on sale tomorrow for general audience, but I didn't want to take that risk. I didn't want to take that risk of, well, I'm not going to get on the pre-sale. I'll just wait until it's general tickets in the public, and they're all gone. I've had that experience with Tool. I didn't want to have that here. So, yeah, I'm really, really, really quite enthused about this. I think it's going to be great. And I will say this, when I got the tickets for Edmonton, I didn't know anybody in Edmonton. I didn't know anybody in Alberta. I had no idea how we were going to get there, how we were going to get home. I had no plan. We had nowhere to stay. And I got all that figured out over the next 2 months. Now I've got 8 months. We're going to Los Angeles. I've never been to California. We're going in a couple of days to do the Disneyland thing, so there'll be videos on this channel of us from that area and from Disneyland in Anaheim. But I no idea. No idea what we're going to do, how we're flying in, how we're flying out. I have no idea. Again, it's seat of my pants, and as soon as those tickets went on sale, I was like, okay, I'm getting the tickets, and then I'll figure it out later. Every other trip that we do, I make sure that I'm buying the airline tickets and that I'm buying the actual hotel reservations at the same time. So the entire trip is done, and I don't have something lingering around out there that I have to deal with. All right. Thank you guys so much for your time, for your patience, for your attention. It means a lot. And I'm not going to complain about not getting $5. I'm not. It's not a problem. Thank you guys so much, though. It does mean a ton. Here's something I won't tell people on the hockey channel. I'll tell people on this channel. That's new. That vent is new up there. People complained on the regular channel that it was dirty. It wasn't. Really wasn't. So I just replaced it because they're cheap. So I replaced it. And we'll see how long it takes before people go, it's a new vent on the main channel. No snitching either. No snitching over to the main channel that I got a new vent. Or sharing this video all over social media. Go, hey, look, he got a new vent in the background. Thank you guys so much. I will talk to you again soon.